right, we'll call the meeting to order.
Why not?
Sue, if you could just mute yourself right now, I think you got a little lag.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hi, how are you? I got it.
Look for approval, the minutes of the February 26th meeting.
Oh, yeah. Say, oh, yeah.
Chair, did you second that?
Sure.
All those in favor?
I posed.
That's pretty awesome. Hasn't shown up for 2 months now, and she gets in trouble the first 5 minutes. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
You're lucky you guys not playing tonight. You have.
I know, right?
It's Purdue's on.
So we're gonna skip around a little bit. Agenda. We have some guests, Preston and Lee Sloan. They wanted to present to us tonight. A small little presentation.
I just wanted to give you an update about what's going on. I thought that would be helpful. I haven't met.
Sheridan Bond.
Sheridan's our Westbrook representative.
I had the biggest part.
Yeah, that's right. Well, what's been going on since I met with you last is that among other things, Judy and I met with him and said to him that we were not happy with the plan that's been developed by Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And that we thought that the voices of citizens had not been heard, and we wanted to try to do something about it. And Carl said, well, he did not in any way say that that was not, was not judgmental about it. He said what he would recommend is that we get in touch with both Trust for Public Land and the Nature Conservancy, because the Nature Conservancy holds the easement, of course, and Trust for Public Land was instrumental in raising the money, which I have done. And I'm in touch with them. Nothing one way or the other has resulted from that, but it is, the meeting has happened. I've reached out to them and they know basically what we're interested in talking about. In the meantime, more and more people have reached out to us as the Preserve Protection Alliance group that we started. And we now probably have about 70 or 80 different people and organizations that support this cause. And the question is what we do with them. How do we direct the power of these voices to bring about something that was closer to the minds and hearts of Old Saybrook citizens who stood up in public meetings to say, can't you just leave it alone? Or, not log it. And so then today I had about a 40-minute conversation with Alex Amendola, who you may recall is the lead forester from Deep. And it was a productive conversation in which he and I went back and forth on all the reasons that I feel and I know that it would be very destructive to the health of that forest for heavy equipment to be in there and conducting the operations that they've laid out in their plan. And Alex said, well, you really couldn't do much if you were just working with chainsaws. And I said, but Alex, you don't have to do this forest is well on its way to becoming an old forest. Some of the trees in there maybe are only 50 years old, but plenty of them are 100 years old and some are even 150 years old. And there's no reason to be doing these, same age cuts that take the older trees back to nothing. And the mixed cuts that create, patch cuts. And I said, Alex, don't you, you know that when you do that, you're opening it up for invasives. And he said, well, yeah. And I said, well, look what's happening to the Eversource right away. And Alex mentioned quite a few things that he really does not like about Eversource, which I appreciate too. But it doesn't remove the fact that when you're rolling heavy equipment through and there are seeds of invasives everywhere and they will get tracked through with the tires of those trucks, to say nothing of what I think is the most important point is the roots of those trees and the mycorrhizal networks that underlie those trees basically are the nutrition system for those trees. It's like having a subway system in a city. And if they can't get to where they're going, not only do the mycorrhizal networks die, but the trees are health is severely impacted as well. So Alex and I left the call on good terms, respectful terms of each other's position, which I thought was a win right there. It's really my goal to set up a relationship with Deep, not an adversarial situation, because I don't think anything can be accomplished that way. And we're gonna try to meet the week of April 13th. And in the preserve and walk around and take a look and talk about it. And Judy, if we do it on the 13th, Judy can she's told me. She has travel plans. But in addition, other than that, it seems as if what I'm being told by those who are in good position to know is the best strategy would be to go straight to the governor and ask him to intervene, because this agency reports ultimately to him and he ultimately controls the agency. And so basically, I would like to try to make as many connections to Governor Lamont's inner circle as possible. One of the things that Alex said to me is, and it was clarified to me when I was at the Connecticut Land Conservancy conference, that Deep doesn't make any money from this deal. They have a budget, they operate on the budget, and there's no bonus to them if they cut down more trees or send more logs to the lumberyard. They basically do it as a work assignment, and Alex takes his work very seriously. He was very involved with the telemetry on the turtles, the radar thing, and he's fascinated by all that stuff. So he genuinely appreciates the wildlife there. We just have radically different ideas about how a forest should remain and could grow into a healthier forest that stores a lot more carbon and provides a lot healthier benefits to the wildlife as well as to the people who want to walk around there. I've also been on several hikes around the forest, both times with Kathy, or 3 times with Kathy. And first of all, hats off to her. She's doing an amazing job, and she's recruited now an intern, as you may be aware, who is helping her with setting up these hikes. And even though it was a really miserable day, there were about at least 10 or 11 people out, like, and it's just so obvious. And it was out of the Westbrook entrance, which was the first time I come out of that entrance. And talk about wetland forest, even on high ground, there's real muddy stretches there. And I asked Alex about that. It's like, what season of the year would you think that you would be doing this harvesting? Because in my experience in New England forestry, you go in winter when the ground is frozen. And the ground here hasn't been frozen for many years. This winter, exceptionally cold, but still, I was walking around on a 35-degree day and it was muddy. You know, the ground had retained so much water that it didn't freeze. So that's basically where we are right now.
Did Alex express next steps, like is the next step for them tagging trees or doing some kind of a survey?
The next steps are he's doing more of this telemetry work. He did say that the operational plan, which is what the next step is, will likely not be completed until end of August.
Okay.
So that's like a time for you kind of thing to me, because there's a lot we can do between now and August, but I'm not feeling as if having 1,000 people marching on deep is gonna change their mind.
No,
They're
but if
really
you do another public meeting and you brought 80 or 90 people to that meeting that all feel the same way as you are, it
Yeah.
would really be a boost.
I mean, a public meeting will be required on the.
Yeah,
plan.
and we will have,
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
time a public meeting comes around, we will have a substantial number of people there. I don't know that it's gonna turn the corner.
No, it did seem
For
last
us
time
on-
it seemed to make a pretty good effect, at least.
Yeah.
It slowed things down.
record it.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if they are not recording, it, which it's my understanding that a public hearing is recorded by law, but a public meeting, it is not required. That doesn't stop us from recording it.
Absolutely.
So that's where we stand.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Certainly, come to us with any updates or
Yeah, sure.
anything you might need from us.
Absolutely.
So this whole span 10 thing is new to us too, so, we're not really positive about the whole process.
Right.
I have an idea of how it's gonna work, but I don't know if it's exactly how it's gonna work, so.
Well, we've been told the same thing
Yeah.
from Alex. Our various meetings, that there will be public hearing in the plan and project plan and the timeframe.
I feel confident that that's true,
Yeah.
because it's part of their process.
Yeah.
It's just that he said today, deep is not going to change its management.
Right.
That, window closed, by the time, when Carl and Will Hochholzer put their signatures on that plan and all the other people that did, that pretty much locked that thing
Yeah,
in.
we certainly tried to fight it.
I know.
So in terms of heading toward the governor, where does that stand? It seems like that might be a next step, actually.
Yes, very definitely so. And any help that any of you can provide by connecting me or working with me to connect me to donors to Governor Lamont or his inner political circle, or people who have, strong relationships with people that do, that should definitely be a plan B that is running parallel to the just getting out the word. I actually heard from Harvard News today that they're gonna run my letter to the editor next week, which is great because I submitted the first one 3 weeks ago, the second one 2 weeks ago, and now this finally is the charm. So, so that will help get word out. But, and I would appreciate that from you all as well. So I have business cards that have my email address for the Preserve Alliance on it, which I'll give you.
Our state representatives on senators, have you?
Yes, Needleman.
I have written to Needleman. I actually saw him at Stop and Shop, which was a great opportunity.
Those debate why.
He told me he was in a rush because it was his nephew's basketball game and he had like 3 cases of water in his cart and he was, so he was like really busy, but I gave him the super short version and he said, please contact me. So, I have reached out to him. I've let him know that too.
He's usually, I mean, he just wanted on the both road stuff.
Yes, yeah.
So, he's really
Yeah.
responsive. How close he is to the line, I mean, yeah.
Right, exactly.
But-
Contacts too. Yeah, they work pretty closely together.
Who was that, TCL, what is that?
Trust Republic.
Oh, he's our, yeah.
Did you want to add anything or
I didn't have to come tonight. She's doing all the work.
moral support?
Yeah, I want you to know. You're right.
It would be fantastic to move this forward, because Alex has never moved forward in terms of, changing his point of view. So, sounds like Governor Lamont might be a really key person to connect with.
He's always gonna pay the party night. I mean, that's his job. That's his job for current and.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep in mind the fact that he wouldn't go into this area. He didn't have some passion for the environment.
Right.
So how can it be so different?
Surprises me that there's no income generated from the wood. I mean, he's more or less like a project manager,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So he comes up with projects that lead to revenue, so.
But it's stated in the plan that it was for polished wood timber, so.
And
They've
that's
known that.
one of the things I said to Alex is, the state has about 30 or so state forests, doesn't it? And he said, yeah, that's right. And I said, well, what I'm proposing is that you focus your efforts on the other forests that are on high and dry land and don't have 38 vernal pools and 25, species of amphibians and reptiles and.
But Alex was part of all of those studies. He was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to his knees. I mean, and I think, Alex, I think is more of a biologist than he is.
Yes.
Agriculturalist.
He does seem very into it.
Yeah.
By the way, I met, Bill Moorhead at the
Oh.
conservation conference too, was so. He was.
The
and I-
3-hour
I-
conversation.
Yeah.
I was down there. If we'd had a pizza, it would have been even better. I was starving by the time. He spoke to us for over 3 hours. I was almost in a panic. I didn't have a Snickers bar or anything. It was just, but he was really the most curious human. It was so cool.
Yeah. He was talking on soil infrastructure. And it was really interesting to
It
me.
made it all, it was like
Yeah.
really captivating.
Yeah.
I think
It's amazing what goes
Yeah.
on in soil. And since I went to a Middlebury conference last fall on old growth forests
Mm.
and there were people from Northeast Wilderness Trust that took us on a walk. And this young woman scientist, a young guy scientist were walking through and they're like picking stuff up out of the logs and showing us, and like this teeny little frog, like literally this big. But the thing that was really cool were the slime molds.
Slime molds.
Slime molds.
Oh, molds.
They said slime balls.
I said molds.
That are also called. It's Myxomycetes is how it's spelled. I'm sure there's an easier way to pronounce it, but they are the coolest little, they look like something out of Horton Hears Who, those little stems with a round top on them.
Oh, yeah,
They have these little globes that connect into the logs, or they come in a bunch of different, there's some fuzzy ones and stuff. And what they do is they consume the nutrients from leaves and all the stuff that gets compressed in soil and turn it into nutrients that they feed into the fungal hairs. That's how trees get their nutrition. This is like just a little
Yeah. it's one month.
assembly line breaking down their, lunches and feeding lunch to the trees. And that was like, it was sort of the final connection between why tree roots and fungal root hairs are important. And these are the creatures that take those leaves and process them back into food. Trees.
And I'm to Washington. We could use some holes in our government.
Sue, did you have anything you wanted to add? I muted you, so.
Oh,
Let me
I
unmute.
think she's in trouble. Sounds like she's gonna break up.
She doesn't realize she's on mute.
I can't unmute her.
There you go.
No, we're fine.
Okay. All right,
It's really cool.
well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll be in touch, I'm sure.
Great.
Absolutely.
Are you leaving?
No, Dave, we had a conversation.
What I have to tell you is totally related to this. So,
You're on.
perfect. So, 74 Bochum Road is a property of about 28 acres. It's owned by Best Mates Landing in Bridgeport. They are about to lease it to TriTech Energy Development out of LA. And 6.8 acres of this land is going to be cleared for a solar array. So this was approved in October of 2025. And I knew about it because a landscaper who works for some of the property owners that are impacted by this asked me if I knew about it. I'm not here, by the way, by SOS Trees. I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. SOS Trees is a nonprofit and I'm not supposed to do anything political at all. But I am here, I'm the chair of the tree committee. I'm also part of Connecticut Advocate for Trees, which is a network of tree activists up in Connecticut. So this is so related to what Lee and Judy are talking about, because the Bochum Road clearing is 0.2 miles from the preserve. And I have been working with the homeowners who are talking to the Connecticut Siting Council. So the Connecticut Siting Council is an independent agency that has thorough authority over where transmission lines are, where utilities are. They were established in 1972. So they are the ones that can decide if the solar array can be placed here. Their requirement is to tell the abutting property owners within 30 days of the application that a declaratory ruling has been filed. A lot of this is legalese. So TriTech Energy in April asked the siting council to rule on their solar array without a certificate of environmental capability and public. So the siting council put out a notice to the abutting property owners and Carl Fortuna and zoning, planning, conservation, Lynette Wacker, Chris Costa, and Marks and Needleman, and 42 people, and about 20 property owners all the way up to Blumenthal and Murphy. They put that out on April. The application for the solar array didn't show up until May 2nd. The rule is their own siting council processes is within 30 days of the application, you're supposed to notify the property owners. And you're supposed to notify the property owners so they know what the schedule is for public comment. Well, you notify someone in April, and they don't apply until May. And the schedule for public comment doesn't show up on their website until May. Bottom line is, the people that found out about this tried to get comments to the siting council. And the siting council said, thank you very much, and they just took their comments. And then Carl Fortuna got a notice on May 2nd. And from what I can tell in the documentation, he was notified that the comment period was until June 1st. The town did not comment. It's questionable as to who got this April 15th notice and who did not. The notice said, said that it's supposed to be registered. The documentation that TriTech Energy put in their petition has a list of who they sent it to, but there's no registered numbers. If you send something registered, you get a return receipt. So a lot of people didn't get it. Why they didn't get it, the town did not comment. So the town, by not commenting, has waived their right to weigh in on this. So I met with Kathy Conley and Carl was willing to send a letter. I wrote a 3-page letter on the process was erroneous or not. There was a lot of irregularities, and there was a whole lot of environmental issues. The governor has a Climate Solutions Warming Act. They also have has an executive order on reducing carbon emissions through natural pathways. And in his executive order and in the Deep Climate Change Action Plan, he charges Deep with maximizing urban forests for carbon emissions. So this whole thing is a real mess, but they claim that it's not a significant environmental impact to the 16 plants that are state listed, or the 6 to 8 animal species that are impacted because of the preserve. So their argument is the animals, state listed animals that are going to be impacted by this can just walk across Boken Road and go to the preserve. Nobody considered what's happening in the preserve with all of the logging and the timber harvesting. Nobody considered that. I brought that up to the siting council. Connecticut Advocate for Trees brought it up to the siting council. The neighbors, there's 3 neighbors, they brought it up to the siting council, and the siting council keeps shutting them down. Now you're too late. Yes.
Who's claiming that the species can migrate from?
TriTech Energy.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they're clearly not experts in this.
California.
Does everyone know where the property is?
I was gonna say, where's 28? Is that on the
So it's
Six Meadows side?
74 is essentially north of the transfer station.
Yeah.
It's the property directly north of it.
Okay, right next to it.
So
That's
if
kind of
you
like a
look
tree
at,
farm, right?
yeah, I mean, if you think of where Exchange Club Pond is,
Yeah.
and right,
They're
you know,
towards
just
that.
a little bit north of that, right? And so even for animals to cross the road, they gotta go through a substation and across power lines that have been all cut down. I mean, the trees have all been cut down in there. So that's essentially where the property is.
Right, and Mr. Bagnati, I'm not saying it right because it's an Italian name, and he corrects me all the time, but he lives at 72. His family's owned that property for over 100 years. And they have told him that they will access the property through his driveway. And apparently he can't say no. Mr. Crane, who lives across the street, is going to have a utility anchor on his yard. And they talked with the lawyer. The lawyer said that the Connecticut Siting Council has apparently complete jurisdiction. So I have spoken with Martha Marks. I talked with her today, and she said that is her district. That is it's in her district. She has said that if you want to get your governor's attention, you have to work with the town. That's what she told me for them. She said the town needs to appeal to the governor on halting this and asking for a conversation. What's happening to the preserve, what's happening to this 6.8 acres of land, and what is gonna happen to the rest of the land around it. So I also wrote an editorial, which also will be in the Harbor News next week, so there's gonna be a lot of focus. And then the other thing, the Connecticut Examiner has picked this up, so it's an issue.
Yeah.
But I don't know if, I don't think, I asked Carl if the town would file an injunction, which is a very expensive thing to do, he said no. But he did write the letter, it is concerning I mean, Chris, you didn't even get there. It's very.
Yeah, there's not, I mean, I'll see when you came to our conservation commission meeting last month. And, I mean, not that I'm pretty good at keeping stuff, and I don't remember getting this letter. Lynette has no record of it in the town.
No,
But when you read all of this info, it's all on, I have the link, that I got, I mean, all the documentation. It's very convincing that, you would think, oh, they checked all the boxes, but it's very curious that.
Well, they
And
didn't-
there were a lot of people that supposedly got this letter.
well, Martha Marks doesn't have a record of that.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So, and here's the thing, you take down 6.8 acres of trees, you are increasing carbon emissions because you're not taking them, you're not sequestering them. It's gonna be increased. And when you take down the trees at the preserve, it is not gonna reduce carbon emissions. And a solar array has a lifetime of 20 years. And every year it gets less and less productive. This solar array will allegedly power 250 homes. Well, 6.8 acres of forested land has been sequestering carbon for years and years and years. And as trees get more and more mature, they sequester more and more carbon. So it's a real concern. So, I mean, if there's anything you guys can do, if you can talk to Carl. We are going to the environment fair. I will have a letter at the environment fair that will go to the governor, Carl, Marks, Needleman, with people who have asked me, they want to sign a letter asking, or pointing out their concern of allowing this to happen, without more conversation, especially with regards to impacts of preserve.
Some of the process that you said at the beginning of the May and April, is there anything in there that a lawyer could see that they went out of order and didn't do it the right way and start there?
Well, we did talk to a lawyer, and he said that, because it's, almost a year old, and that there were published timelines on the website. And that some of the comments came within that published timeline that they were considering. But,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing. The
Seems like
letter
they
to
did
the
a really
people,
good job going under the radar.
they totally did,
They did.
because the letter didn't come from the siting council. It came from the lawyer of Tri-Tech. And they said, if you have any questions, go to this website. When you go to the website, you don't know what you're looking for. It's the homepage of the siting council. I mean, if you're astute enough, you go to decisions, and then decisions takes you to petition, and there's 1,500 petitions. You don't even know the petition number, and you don't know the petition number in April because they didn't apply until May. I mean, it's really sketchy. It really is. So anyway, I'm just, we're just trying to, the public is more and more aware, because this could be the beginning of taking down a whole lot of other trees, in that area. Couple that with the preserve, then we're gonna not have, tree camp. So, and the impact of the preserve, I mean, they're gonna be logging close to 700 trees. Yeah, they finally did the math, and that's 0.2 miles from the preserve. That's gotta impact the protection of the animals and species.
Well, this particular committee is advisory to the CMC committee,
Okay,
which runs the research, right? So-
okay,
And that CMC committee is made up of Carl and Will Hochholzer from the DEP.
Okay.
So we advise them on different aspects of the preserve, what we would like to see happen, and they make the final decision.
Okay.
It doesn't mean because what we say, they decide yes or no, so it doesn't mean automatically yes for them that we decide, but we can certainly speak to them at the next CMC
Okay.
about this. I mean, it's not our particular, it's not obviously in the preserve, but it's close enough and it
Right.
will impact some of that, so we can certainly try to bring it up to them and get our
Well,
thoughts.
that would be awesome.
So, it is, it's interesting you brought up, because the New London Day had an interesting article about solar panels and solar arrays the other day. And, part of that article was the impacts on groundwater associated with solar arrays, and not knowing what the water would runs off it do. Well, a lot of our aquifers are right there.
Yeah, they cite, yeah,
They are right there.
right in that.
So we don't know what the impact of that would be to the
Well,
drinking water.
The other curious thing is there's the TriTech Energy is supposed to get a wetland disturbance permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. They have not received that permit. They haven't even applied for the permit. How do I know that? I called the Army Corps. And I waited online and the lady went through all of the potential permits and she did not see it. Unless it's, so they, as far as I know, they don't have that. They do have a stormwater permit. They're also supposed to have a dam safety permit, but no one's asking the question. I wrote a letter, well, Carl asked a question, because the letter I wrote, Carl and Kathy asked that question, where is USAG, where's the Department of permit, where's the dam safety permit? But
I'm curious about going back to the species, listed species that are out
Yes.
there. Do you know? First of all, you know, that there's special concern, there's there's rare, and then there's
Yeah.
endangered. Do you have any idea of? Obviously, they're not gonna tell you what the names of the species are.
well, I do.
Yeah, no, it was in there.
It's in
I
there.
don't know that any was sort of endangered or.
They call them state listed. So
Yeah.
state listed means that they have to be, they're ecologically
Like the
important.
turtles,
The
the bats.
A couple other reptiles.
Tree, I assume whatever's listed in preserve is probably gonna get.
Yeah, it's very similar to.
And that's all listed in Pillsbury.
So I would think that, and I don't know where it is in the process, does this go to the state, or is because it's with the siting council trumps the state's input with me?
So here, yes, so. I've asked Chris Costa about this and she basically says the siting council has ultimate jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, this area is zone residential. So they're gonna have a business there. They're gonna have a solar array business, which by the way, these are, solar arrays are made out of metal and glass and they move.
Right.
And the transformer is 244 miles from Mr. Bagnan. And the clearing is gonna be 101 feet from his property. So, so there is, unless you, well, you could try to sue the siting council, which Hampton is in the middle of a lawsuit against the siting council. And Torring,
It was also the
what's that?
East Line, that the other solar array, so I don't know what happened to it, I think it was through, but that's what I talked to those of us.
Well, Torrington was able to, prevail in the court because the siting council processes were not open enough to allow the town and the community, the impacted property owners to complain. That's what we have here.
Yeah.
But the attorney that the three people that, are active of this on Logan Road was told, there's not much you can do. Well, you can get the town to be an intervener, or you can get the governor. Which the letter I'm gonna write is for the governor to be an intervener. Because in the petition documents, there is a letter from it's from an environmental analyst in her Deep Division of Natural Resources. And she says, and she admits that she says it's a core forest. You ask TriTech, they're gonna tell you it's not a core forest. Well, that's also confusing. So she says that it's a core forest, And she says this will fit in with the governor's plan to have emissions reduced by renewables between now and 2050. She doesn't even mention, this is someone, an environmental analyst from the Natural Forests or Natural Resources, doesn't even mention the loss of the trees. But the Council on Environmental Quality said this is too ecologically sensitive to put a solar.
The thing that, caught my eye when I was reading through all this, and just even outside of our Observe Ad Hoc, I can send you guys the link for where all this information is. It's interesting because they dot a lot of I's. Just really, when they did the vernal pool analysis and all that stuff, you read and go, oh. But, how they flew under the radar. But one of the things they said is policy CGS 16A-35K. Let me tell you. Well, yeah, it's like throw this way. No, but it says develop and utilize renewable energy resources such as solar and wind environment, reduce greenhouse gases. So this comes under that policy, which is all a lovely thing to reduce, or to have renewable energy, but we go about it this way.
Well,
But I'm sure they went under that and said, here we go.
well, and see, but here's the thing, there's a public law. The governor's Global Warming Act and his executive order on reducing carbon emissions through natural pathways is also. They're not quoting that. And the other
Yeah.
law, it identifies a core forest, it's CSG something.
Yeah, so they kind of.
Yeah, so,
But-
but they, I mean, you can, split the baby, you can say, you can find an argument to say solar at any cost. But then you can also say solar according to the Council on Environmental Quality and the own governor is rooftops, developed areas, blighted areas. Somewhere else, but not an ecologically sensitive area to the state.
So the person who owned this property was like for sale for a while. These people just bought it. I mean, how did that happen?
Well, I looked it up. It was owned by, I don't know, somebody. It was actually owned by the Cahill family. Too bad I'm not alive because I know them really well, but anyway. They sold it to, I believe, Best Mates Landing, LLC. The whole property sold for like 450.
Also, when you were in.
Also, 20 million.
Also,
And then Best Mate Landings, there was an option to purchase between Best Mates and Solar Energy out of Uncasville. And that's also in there. By the way, the petition that they filed is 390. So and so you tell a property owner, here's some petition.
Yeah.
And then in the petition, but anyway, so the question is, who owns it now? I think it's still Best Mate Landing, and they're leasing it to a third party. Because TriTech is the third party that's coming in, so.
What's Best Mate, what are? Just,
I don't know, Best Mates Landing LLC, they're out of Bridgeport. It's
What do they come, why?
a moneymaker, it's all money. You lease land, it's money. The property next to Big Y. Which, yeah, forget that, I mean, that's for lease, there's nobody in it. And they make money.
Turn that whole corner over door.
Yeah. But it's funny, and the other thing is. It's near water, it's near a highway, it's across from a substation. You gotta wonder, what's their long game? What's their, I mean, once you put a solar array in. It's no longer residential. I mean,
Yeah, right.
who's gonna build houses there? How are we gonna get affordable housing anywhere if this kind of land is brought up? So it's just bad. But I will tell you. There is a House Bill 5551 that is in front of Needleman. Because he's the chair of Energy and Environment. And this bill is trying to put some constraints on the siting council. And one of the constraints on the siting council is they want to have a consumer attorney on the council and municipal reps on the council, which is what we need. Municipalities have to be able to talk about this. They have to be able to think that they matter. Our municipality has such experience that we don't think it matters. We try. So if you could bring it up to the,
Sure.
and see if they're willing to maybe have a dialogue with the governor and that would be great on both ends.
Well, thank you very much for the info. It's certainly informative.
Okay, well, I'm
fine.
Eye-opening at the same time.
it's just totally upsetting. It's just, yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you had it, the home net from it.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing all that work.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm happy to do it, and the people that live there are beside themselves. All right, well, I'll see you at the environment fair.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your work.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're trying.
Goodbye. Thanks.
Did you want to do this under interim trails? Your little presentation?
We have time.
We have time.
Great room.
It's not 8 o'clock yet.
Close.
Alan Lai.
Carolyn Law.
Oh, sorry, Sue, did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh boy, what am I doing? Sue, did you want to say something? Unmute yourself.
No, I didn't need to say anything. Thank you. It was interesting conversation, but
Absolutely. We're gonna move on to update on the intern training. A small little presentation I think you wanted to talk about, and then we'll get into our meeting that we had with the state of Connecticut. No boy, what did I just do? Okay. All right. So,
We go.
there we go.
Yeah, just a lot of little things going on in there. Spent 2 parts of days walking with Chris throughout. Well, first we did the east section, then we did the west section of the preserve, and places I've never seen before. And now, and I'm mountain biking there a lot, but I stay on the trails. For the record.
We are recording this.
But I saw a lot of things. I'll get into that a little bit later, but so let's see here. Where am I? Go to the next slide.
Go to the next slide.
So before the Chris stuff, there's a lot of tree blight in there. There's, especially the beech trees are falling all over the place. Across the trail.
Is that what most of these are?
These ones aren't beech, but there's one on the, if you go right into the top lot and take your first right, there's a big beech.
So this is more storm damage as opposed to beaches falling down.
It's a lot of dead standing
Yeah.
trees that are just waiting for the right
Yeah.
wind to blow them over.
Gotcha.
And so I try to keep up with it. I mean, I haven't been able to bike, so it's just on my dog walks in the different sections where I see them. And bring my saw and cut them up. So, that's more or less what I've been doing. On this is Cedars East here, the entry. And a couple things you're noticing too, that the signage is becoming much better. All of the kiosks at all of the trail entrances are getting better. Saw a few errors in there, but regardless, so I'm just clearing them, enough so you can pass through them at this point. And I cleared a couple of areas, just so you could gain access, and then the town went in and really cleaned
Did
it
a
up.
few more, yeah.
Which is great.
That's pretty much on top of that, so.
The beech trees are the ones that are dying and falling over.
They're the prominent ones.
Is there anything that can be done that would, I mean, it would be really interesting to.
Well, you can make benches out of them.
Yeah.
That's about it, because, for one, it's extremely heavy. So unless you go in there with an army of people, which.
Get it out.
Or an ox.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
We did do that with in a few spots, with benches on the red trail.
And bridges too. They
And
make great bridges.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The beeches are softer wood, so they're not the best for that, but the oaks are perfect. There's a lot of blighted oaks too. So I was on a good run. First day was really good. I cleared everything I saw. And then this one here, this is on the western side. And if you picture Pequot Swamp where there's the dam on the far side of it. And the brook flows down under that little bridge you see in the top center. This thing is really monstrous and it's really ugly and I have a 14-inch saw. So
When you fell your thing.
that's my feeling. That arrow points, that's the blade of my saw, so.
Oh, I got you now. That's the blade of the saw.
Yeah. So that's why I need another blade to cut this one out, so I'll have my blade back.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this is ongoing and it's, to be honest, it's mostly the mountain bikers that clear this stuff, or, you know, we clear it and then we make fun things out of it sometimes too, so you can overlook that, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so, you know, as we look at the trail plan and the kinds of things that we want to incorporate into it, it's important to know some of the features in there. And now I have a better feeling, thanks to Chris, because the whole event, you know, is step by step into various areas. And I found, you know, on the west section, there is actually a waterfall up there I never knew existed. There's some tremendous overlooks with large glacially split rocks up very high, you know, and if, and I have kind of mixed feelings about it, because some of these vistas will provide access, more access than they've had probably ever. I'm not sure what the environmental impact will be of that. But if, you know, if our goal is to create a trail system that highlights some of the beauty of the place, brings people in, and so some things we're going to talk about. And, it also, there's quite a few areas there that are live brooks that most of us don't see. And it's crystal clear water. Really fascinating. So, I mean, that area that's circled there on the right, in the left, there's quite a few sites from the original England farm. There's an area there that I didn't know existed, which is it's a huge curved rock wall that's built into there where they corralled sheep for many years. And there's a well that was built in as well along one of those brooks in that area. So there's a lot that we could highlight. We decided.
Most of these sites you went to are off trail.
I know,
All-
so I was wondering.
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, some are close to the trail system. You know, all of the Ingham sites are relatively fast walks from the Red Trail, the Ingham Road.
So before we go any further with this, Keith and I met with Kim Bradley and Martin Terrasquino and Alex, well, 2 weeks ago, I guess now, on our first day of our planning of the public use plan, right? So one of the things we left with that meeting was, let's start mapping out where we think these trails should go along with these vistas and other areas. And this is part of the reason why he's going out there, so he gets a better idea of what's out there. But as you remember, last meeting, we had asked, kind of come up with what do you want to go see, what do you want to highlight and all that good stuff. So this kind of goes along with that. So if it's off trail now, we have a blank slate if we wanted to try to like do some of that, whether or not it's outside of the vernal pool buffer or there's no plants that are going to be impacted, you know, that could be it. And that's where we have to, as a group, kind of decide moving forward where something's going to go. So one of the things we left with was, let's, for our next meeting, which with the state is next Thursday, let's get a little rough drawing where these trails might go. And that might be our starting point. So kind of where Keith, I think, is going with this after leaving that meeting. So to keep everyone in the loop here, this is what we're kind of moving forward with. And it was, I thought, a very productive couple-hour meeting we had with them. They were clearly notified that we need to be involved in this next step as much as possible. And they recognized that, so, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good meeting.
Yeah, really. I mean, the next slide, covers, the area that we walked today. And, what we saw today on the east section of the trail, of the preserve, is there's a lot of egg mass now that are starting to show up, the salamander eggs especially. And, we had a little, event happen actually in the first one where my dog ran off with a young coyote, did a 5-minute romp. We're in there, that didn't happen today, thankfully, but we continue to look at, the different vistas and the pools and started to look at which pools are the ones that are most productive, the most reptile activity in, and the ones, surprisingly, a lot of the deeper ones, the bigger ones, were not nearly as, populated with, reptiles.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I was surprised. But again, there's some really incredible vistas that we could work into a trail system. And it's gonna be a challenge, I think, to make a trail system that doesn't encroach somewhere some of these different water features. But I think we can do it. There's, you can see there's a lot of trails to work with. We have a lot of inventory to improve and consolidate so that there's still plenty of space to, spend the day in a hike.
Yeah,
We just need to make the trails better, drier.
we were all in agreement at our meeting that there's way too many trails. We need to
Yeah.
condense them out, right? And we were also in agreement that we need to connect to our connecting parcels, which was good. So that will happen. And we're also in agreement that a lot of these trails cannot go through wetlands and low spots and all that good stuff. So I think the path is laid out of where we need to go with these trails, but the hard work is really just beginning. I'm trying to figure it out and overlaying it on the data that is existing to make sure we're doing the right thing as well. And we did agree that most of these trails, or all, I think we said all the trails would be multi-use. I think we said that, right?
Well, multi-use maybe except for the horses, I guess.
Right, in a couple spots of the horses.
An
Then we,
emergency
and then we
vehicle.
had a large discussion about e-bikes as well and how that, what role they will play. And I also brought that up to our commission, Park Rec Commission, to adapt some of the e-bike rules into our rules and regulations, which we don't have, because, they're new, so.
So Keith, like the vistas, were they sort of out and back? Were some of them sort of, you went to the vista and then you came back to the trail?
We basically, Chris really knows the woods. He doesn't go on the trails for the most part.
Oh, he's an off-roader all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't know they existed, but also because, my access has been over the years, mountain biking, we don't go straight up. So,
It's a good thought, actually. But this is where the power lines are, right here.
Oh, right.
I'm not sure that's gonna be a great vista personally, but
Yeah, right.
there is some high ground in there.
well, the vista is parallel with that.
Yeah.
Inside, inside the.
Inside
preserve.
it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a huge parcel of beautiful land.
Yeah. The power lines essentially do this, they go this way. And then they cut down somewhere in here. They go down to this area.
I always get confused when they're up on this, so which way is? The
This is Westbrook,
big
right
lake.
here.
Yeah, that's what I.
Westbrook's here.
That's what I thought.
So the power lines come out in this area, general area. Somewhere in there. and
So
they go
those are the
right
ones
down.
that go off 153.
Yes,
That's where I get.
yes.
Yeah, that's a good point, 'cause
I
I mean,
thought it
I
was another
recognize the
one.
roads,
Yeah.
the roads kind of outline it for me more so than the other features, but. If you go just
Yeah,
quickly
look at
to
it
that
like
last
that.
slide there.
Yep.
So, this is kind of crude, but I'm, creating a list. So of things that we might want to incorporate into it, the nice stuff.
Bear cave, a deep cave shared by multiple creatures. Maybe
Well,
that's for your dog leg.
no, but now I know where it is. So I mean,
Not the one north of the swamp.
it's on the north side and it's on the red trail
Yeah,
side.
we went to that one day.
Yeah, and
Cool
then
little spot.
It is, and I always thought it was, on the other end, on the back side there, or actually the north side, on the other side.
Mhm.
Cause you can hear when the coyotes come in the morning or in the evening, you can hear the echoes coming.
Well, it's a large rock outcropping.
Yeah,
It's almost like a wall right there, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
no, the reason I was asking about, sort of the vistas is, I'm sure we've all been in walks and hikes and other areas and you have those but they tend to be really well marked, like, oh, here, just take this left and you see the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so I'm envisioning it, because you said you have mixed feelings, so there would have to be some work to make sure whether you put up ropes or whatever to keep people from just going to the vista and coming back and getting back on the trails.
Yeah, I think really the
You know.
biggest concern is poaching. Yeah.
Oh.
All of these waterways, are where all the poachable creatures are.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
That's a concern.
well then, yeah.
The state has that concern too.
Well, yeah, they said, yeah, I remember Kim, I was naive to that.
I'm
whole
gonna
thing.
stop sharing stuff.
So she brought it up. in one of our meetings. It's like,
People wanna go and grab things and take them home, especially plants that they wanna grow, if they find an orchid that is.
Yeah, we
rare.
talked about that.
Yeah,
We
So-
can't share where they are.
no, we'd rather not, yeah.
yeah, the vernals, I mean,
well, right,
that's where they poach.
yeah.
To go-
It's beautiful spotted
To
salmon.
go along with what you just said, though, if you think about where the rock cairns are above the swamp. That trail goes by it, and then there's a little spur that goes around it, so we could do something along those lines on some of these.
Yeah,
This
to make it
one.
very contained.
Yes,
Yeah.
nice quiet spot
For
for a
those.
bench or whatever. It's just gonna be a lot to do.
Mhm.
And a lot of work, and we will be coming back to this group, obviously monthly, and I'd like more input from you guys. I mean, you saw what Keith has put for stuff out there, and get some thoughts and ideas down, and how it may look and how it may join into what we're doing, so.
So Ray, is there, when you're going out monthly, is it with staff that could actually implement some of this and actually make the bench or?
Well, I don't know if we're at that time frame yet, right, so, because we don't know the trail's gonna be yet.
Right.
So once we get the trail system going, I think we'll have some volunteers, and that's part of our stewardship thing that we're doing now. We're putting together a group of people that are willing and able to go do things within the trail system, not just our trail system, but within the preserve as well. So I think we're doing it the right way, put it that way. We started from nothing. We're slowly building up, and the time we get to the preserve trail system, I think we'll have a nice large group that we will be able to. Keith, who's gonna have the Chris Kreider knowledge of the place in the next couple weeks, to bring them out there and say, hey, this is what we're doing today, and.
You're the
Well, we
one
did
slurping.
have a few beers after him, I
Well-
forgot a few things, but.
Yeah, right, but.
Keith, it's a good thing you retired. It's really fantastic that you can do this.
I'm really sitting here just jealous, like
Obviously, we know it's a big problem.
Don't be too jealous, I'm going for a knee replacement. Once, so.
Well,
that done.
A long list, it's longer than that list that I had.
so, I mean, as far as our meeting, like I said, it was pretty productive. We'll meet again next week. And we'll slowly work towards a nice plan.
So that, no, I'm happy to hear that.
It's a good thing.
So,
So,
Yeah.
after all this
Well,
time.
absolutely, Liz, I totally agree with you. And there was no, obviously, the first thing was, whatever, there's no animosity between the groups, we just literally had a conversation. Well, what do we do, how do we start? And, Alex is gonna be our map guy, Martin's the recreation side of it. Kim's gonna be the writer of the words here and there, and then, Keith's got a lot of knowledge of the forest, and truthfully, I think of all the people on the group, it's Keith and I that have the most knowledge of what, Alex has got a lot too, but as far as Alex has where the vernal pools are, but Keith knows everything else about the preserve, the little locations where Kim and Martin do not have that.
Actually, Kim has,
She's been out
she's
there.
been in those trails
Yeah.
too, right? Well,
Yeah.
but like with a trail, when you set up a trail, and I've done a lot of these with NEMBA throughout the state. Really, the whole process is laying down the flags and then having everybody walk the flag to say, nope, this is too close to that, do it over here. And you just keep on
Yeah.
honing it down until then you just basically walk it and clear a shoulder's length and then people walk it, you mark it.
That's all you can do.
And you can change them if it turns out over time that, you know, it's wetter than we expected, or a certain season, there's a different condition that we don't like, you just change it.
I think our hardest thing to do there is gonna be closing off trails. I think
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
hardest thing. Because there's so many of them
Because
that
it's been there for so.
and that are used.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, a lot of it's because of the neighborhoods cut into the forest from their neighborhoods, so it's. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's all I have for tonight. Anyone else want to add anything? Sue, you want to say anything? Sorry, I had to meet you the whole time.
No, thank you.
Nothing to do with you, Sue. It's just
You
your
guys are
connection.
I'm just, got a head cold, so I'm not saying nothing.
All right.
Oh,
Anything else anyone want to add?
Thank you, guys.
Motion to adjourn?
Sure, I
Right.
can do that one.
Thank you. Bye, Sue. Hope you feel better.
Thank you. Good night.